Hey everyone, it's Joey, and a while back I made a video reading comments on a post about backwards writing tropes. Some were more silly, like taking the classic fanfiction setup of being sold to one direction and changing it into one direction is sold to you. And others were more serious, including ones that people commonly like to play around with, like lovers to enemies instead of the classic enemies to lovers. Now, to be honest, I don't remember a lot of what was in that video, and I hate rewatching my own stuff, so I'm not going to do that. But I wanted to revisit that concept again, of taking story tropes and flipping them around either partially or completely to essentially become the opposite. But instead of reading other people's ideas, this time I'm going to make them up myself. So I went on Tumblr, just searched for favorite tropes, picked a few different posts people had made talking about, you guessed it, their favorite tropes, and tried to think of how you could reverse them and what that would really look like. You can let me know what characters you think could suit these concepts if you want. I'd love to hear all your lovely, intelligent, and creative thoughts. I absolutely adore the trope of lonely, intimidating character comes out of their shell because of the encouragement from that really dumb, really extroverted person that isn't afraid of them. The opposite of this would be the really extroverted person going into their shell because the lonely and intimidating character is afraid of them. Imagine being the friendly guy everyone loves, but then this other person, who everyone is kind of afraid of you, even though they're far stronger and scarier. Maybe when you try to give them a friendly gesture to help them loosen up and smile, they flinch back, and no one's ever done that before. No one has feared you before, and it gives you an identity crisis. It makes you scared of being friendly to other new people, because what if they start to fear you too? So you retreat into a shell and end up becoming as withdrawn as the person who finds you so intimidating. Characters hating each other so much they accidentally get married is a great trope we need more of. Bonus points if they still can't stand each other and have no explanation for why they've vowed to be life partners. The opposite of this one could be characters loving each other so much they get divorced. They're a married couple who love each other so much, but believe that despite that deep affection, they're so bad for each other that the only way to take care of each other at this point is to end things and set each other free. This actually reminds me of a song, Let Us Die by King Princess. If the only way to love you is to let us die, it's not to say that I want to live without you, but I will if I have to. I mean, there's actually a lot of lyrics like that. Anyway, because these characters still love each other so much, so deeply, there's now no explanation to outsiders of why they're no longer life partners. Okay, I don't have a Tumblr post saved for this one, it's just randomly in my notes, but rivals to lovers. Lovers to rivals, obviously. Maybe they bonded over a mutual interest. They're both the best in their field or their hobby, and that is what initially brought them together. But over time, the love of the game started to outweigh their love for each other. Their great desire to outdo each other becomes the priority, and instead of lovers, they're reduced to only rivals instead. Out of this list of romance tropes, how about forced proximity? You want some angst? You want some wump? How about forced distance? Maybe these two people, or more than two, only feel comfortable around each other. If they're together, everything is fine, but the second they can't be in the same room, one or more of them completely falls apart. So some dastardly villain is forcing them to stay apart as part of some cruel scheme. Now, how about love at first sight? A bunch of people have probably had this idea before, but love at last sight. They don't realize how much they love someone until the moment they know they'll never see them again. Devastating. Or alternatively, hate at last sight. Maybe character A is making it clear that they will never come back to character B again, whether it's because they have to fulfill some other quest or prophecy, or because they just don't want to see them. And character B is so hurt by this that they start to feel bitter and resentful towards this person they once loved. Because how could you do this? When you know how much I love you, how could you hurt me by leaving me forever like this? I love when the bad guy is forced by circumstances to help out the good guys. I think there are probably some good examples out there of stories that have done the opposite, where the good guys have to help out the bad guy. If you can think of any, please let me know. I think it's even more exciting in concept if maybe this thing that the good guy knows they have to collaborate on for whatever reason goes a little against their morals. If the villain holds all the cards in this scenario, and the hero has to play by their rules or else total doom or something is gonna happen, that could really cause a moral crisis depending on what those rules are. I love it when the innocent beanbag of a person has to be the one to kill someone, because either that or everyone dies, and they care too much about their friends to not break their idea of morality for them. This feels like it fits really well with the last one, but flip it around and you have this absolutely not innocent character, perhaps someone who really delights in killing or is sadistic, has to spare or save someone for the first time. Why could this be? Maybe there's someone else they actually care about who would be heartbroken if this one died. Or maybe it's more selfish, and letting them live is actually more tortuous than letting them die. Because in reversing the trope from the post, doing the opposite action is actually not breaking their morals for the sake of someone else. So the reason could be a lot of things. You know those characters that are complete softies and total sweethearts, but go absolutely batshit feral when you hurt someone they care about? Yeah, fucking love those guys. The opposite of this seems pretty reasonable. The crazy feral guy who turns soft when they see their loved one hurt. They might seem reckless and aloof, but seeing this other person hurt physically or emotionally makes their caring side come out strongly. But we could also twist this in a slightly different way. Maybe this feral character is generally fearless, always leaping in to fight without a care in the world. Maybe they see everyone else as bulletproof as they themselves feel. But once they see their loved one get wounded, it makes them stop in their tracks. They have to confront morality in a way that kind of breaks their mind for a moment. Fear makes them freeze, and maybe that freezing stops them from being able to jump in and help save their loved one. Their newfound hesitation leads to their loved one's death. Wow, all of these are just angst parties, aren't they? My favorite trope of all time is character A dying, and character B beating on their chest, cursing them to live. You can't do this to me, jackass! I'm the one who's supposed to die, not you! I eat it up every time. Okay, this one might feel a little devastating too. Maybe there are two people on a team who don't get along. Maybe A is a bit reckless and B is annoyed by that, because maybe B really cares for another person on the team, C, and they don't like that A's behavior could potentially inadvertently hurt C. And, well, it happens. A and C get into trouble. C doesn't make it, and it seems like A won't survive either. But then miraculously, A lives! And B is furious about this. They're beating on A's chest saying, "You can't do this to me, jackass! You were supposed to die, not C!" I can make him worse. Fixes him is such an underused trope which should be illegal because of how frickin' funny it is. Like, let's give this fricked up man more issues than he already has, but he develops morals instead. I'm sure it's been said before, it's pretty obvious, but I can fix him makes him worse. An idealistic character with strong morals tries to improve this other mess of a person, but something gets twisted along the way and they realize with horror that somehow, whatever they've done or said to try and make this person better has only corrupted them and made them worse. And that could go a variety of different ways, so let me know what you'd do with that one. Sometimes the best intentions have the opposite effects, right? What's my favorite trope? What if it was all a hallucination is my favorite. What if that character made up the happy ending for themselves that they wanted after their favorite person died? What if it's canon? Ponyboy Curtis, anyone? Little Misfortune, anyone? What if it's implied? Ever heard of FNAF Ultimate Custom Night? What if none of it was real and it's just one person suffering delusions all alone? What if it was all real? What if you had a hallucination, or entered yourself into what you believed was a simulation, only to realize at the end, either with delight or horror, that everything you thought was a dream had actually happened? There is so much opportunity for either relief or regret in that. Because either you thought this perfect world wasn't real, and now you find out it is, or because you thought everything wasn't real, you willingly made bad decisions, and now you have to actually live with the consequences of that. One of my favorite tropes is the male lead acting like he's totally fine after a fight and has absolutely nothing wrong with him, but then as soon as the threat has left completely, he can't hold on anymore and either passes out or coughs up blood, and then the female lead is like, "Ugh!" And it's very dramatic. I love it. Now, we have a liar on our hands. Reverse the situation, and our guy is now pretending to be wounded, but actually perfectly fine. Why could that be? Is it a trick to gain sympathy or make people lower their guard? Or is it an attempt to hide his great strength or invincibility because he doesn't want other people to know he's as powerful as he is, either to fit in or to not frighten them? And if the female lead is reversed, and now not surprised to find that he's actually not injured, she must have suspected his secret all along. Sort of a Lois Lane and Clark Kent type of situation. I knew you were Superman this whole time while you were pretending to be a human. Character A showing Character B a pretty view. Isn't it so pretty? Character B watching Character A and how excited they are to show them. Yeah, it really is. They haven't looked at the view once. I feel like flipping this one just makes it a scenario where maybe Character A is in love with Character B, maybe it's just a crush, or maybe it's a full relationship already, and is a bit of a romantic, trying to find all the classic ways to get compliments out of them, hoping for a response like, "Yeah, the view is pretty, but not as pretty as you." But Character B is just a bit socially awkward, or tends to miss social cues, or they're too focused on, yeah, the awesome sunset, to care about anything else in the moment, or they're simply not good at spilling their deepest feelings. So they just keep staring at the beautiful view, murmuring in agreement, either oblivious to the attempts at making it a super romantic moment, or simply not having the emotional ability at the time to say something sweet. Maybe A is disappointed by this, or maybe it just makes them smile, because they know this is just how B is, and that's part of why they love them. Shout out to characters who have beef with the main character for the pettiest reasons, while the main character doesn't even remember that they exist. Gotta be one of my favorite genders. This character has beef with the main character for very un-petty reasons now. Maybe it started off as something petty, but once the main character realized that they were annoying this guy, they decided, okay, I'll give you a reason to have beef with me. If you're going to antagonize me for no good reason, I'll antagonize you right back. Maybe part of this is pretending that they don't remember who they are to tick them off more, maybe not. But they go out of their way every time this little guy shows up to bother them in some way. It could add an interesting negative trait to a hero character. They just can't resist bothering this dude every time he shows up. One of my favorite things in any story is when the young protagonist staggers away from the end of the final battle, bloody and bruised, and falls into their rugged mentor's arms. Then the mentor, who under no circumstances can be suspected of actually caring about their ward, tells them that it's okay to rest, that they've done enough and they are proud of them. Anytime I read or see it, it gives me goosebumps. I love that stuff. The most interesting way to flip this, I think, would be the protagonist staggering away from the great battle into their mentor's arms, but there is no softness from the mentor, even if there usually is. Now that they've seen the full evidence of how capable the hero is, they say, there is no time to rest. The mentor believes that it would be a disservice to the world to let the hero stop for one moment. If they have this great power, they must use every second of their life utilizing it for good. Otherwise, it's a waste. This victory is not the end. It's only the beginning. Maybe it hurts the mentor that they feel this way. Deep down, they believe the hero needs care and comfort and rest right now, but their sense of duty outweighs that. It's always been their duty to push the protagonist to be the best they can be, and they aren't going to stop now, no matter how weary they are. I love the old friend becomes the villain trope, especially if said person is regretful at the end. The villain becomes an old friend. And this could look two different ways, maybe even more. The first is that you have two guys who have been battling it out for so many years that it's no longer a real fight, but just the way you hang out and spend time with each other. You're no longer struggling for power in a fight between good and evil, but the villain is just coming up with schemes because they're fun to make, and they know you have fun dismantling them. You no longer hate each other the way you used to. You no longer want to destroy each other. But you also don't want the fight to end because the thought of no longer seeing each other and foiling each other's plans every week hurts. You've been fighting for years, decades. How can you give up on it now? You're no longer nemeses, just old friends who don't know any other way of showing affection than fighting like you always have. The other way I see it is maybe you two did stop fighting. You used to be foes a long time ago, but then maybe the villain was defeated or disappeared and you stopped seeing them for years and years. You never forgot them though, because there was something about their battles that you always enjoyed more than any other. Any prior animosity you had for them fades with time, and when they finally show up again, with no more evil schemes this time around, they're no longer a villain, just an old friend you knew once who you're happy to know again. There are no regrets, only gratitude. Well, that was around 15 tropes I saw and decided to flip around. Which did you find most interesting? Or which would you reverse differently than I did? Talk about whatever you want in the comments, even if it's not related to the subject of the video. I welcome tasty recipes or stories about your pets. Anyway, thanks so much for watching, genuinely, and I hope you enjoyed it. And an extra special thanks to my little ruse, my Patreon members, Nebulatic Vexen, Donka42, John Huang, Laser Scorpio, Night Avenger, Mintara, Somnophobic Danny, Savage Otters, Valzy, Terabyte AIX, Kestrel, Dragonborn Canid, Angie Ender, Ultra Raptor, and Marpsk. Hope I said your name right, Marpsk. Thank you so much for your extra support on Patreon. It means the world to me. I really appreciate your extra support, and I'm always wishing you guys the very best. You're awesome. The same goes to my YouTube channel members, my mini-roos, Foxstar Killer, This Person 10, Rainy Cant, and The Black Rainbow. Thank you so much for your extra support. I'm so glad to have you be a part of my YouTube channel. You guys are super special, and I'm always grateful for your extra support. You're really cool. And again, thank you to everyone else for watching. As I said, share your thoughts. Thanks for being here. Let me know if you like this type of video format. And I'll see you in the next one.